Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today we make our final pleas to Kirk Cousins or to the Vikings to let him go.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan with the Wide Left Substack. I am not committed to a Kirk Cousins plea, I'll be honest.
Hi, I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings, and I think neither are the Vikings.
Luke Inman on Twitter, @Luke_Spinman. Karl-Anthony Towns, torn meniscus, what it means for the Wolves' playoff chances next in the Minnesota basketball park.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome into Locked On Sports Minnesota on a Thursday. We're glad you're watching us on the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. Please, please, please subscribe. Help us get to 7,000 and listen to us as well in the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. You met the Lukes. You met Arif. I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're talking Vikings here every Monday, every Thursday, year-round. So many ways to watch and listen. Also available on the SiriusXM app, Amazon Fire, Roku, the 24/7 YouTube live stream here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Big show. It is our final show before tampering, which means this is our last chance to talk about Kirk Cousins as a Viking. Maybe we'll make our closing arguments with this long, drawn-out Kirk free agency. We'll talk about Plan B. Need a Plan B if Kirk Cousins moves on. Free agent frenzy on the horizon, and Ron Johnson joins to weigh in as well. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app and create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Kirk Cousins is 4 days. It literally just turned 11 o'clock Central. So 4 days from this exact moment, tampering opens up. We'll probably be on the air here on the Minnesota Football Party. You will get our live reactions as we likely find out Kirk Cousins' fate. The leaks are not encouraging if you want him back, and if you want him gone, you are very encouraged because Atlanta seems like the heavy favorite to land Kirk Cousins. Mike Florio is spreading all sorts of gossip because he talked to Kirk's wife or something. The sourcing's very weird on this one, but Kirk might be out the door, and these are our closing arguments. This is our final opportunity to ask Kirk to come back or ask the Vikings to cut bait. So who would like to go first with their monologue, with their soliloquy to the Vikings or Kirk Cousins? Who wants to go first?
I've got it. It's very short. Kirk Cousins, come back to the Minnesota Vikings, because if you do, it will make Mike Florio look really stupid, and that is extremely
persuasive.
Funny.
Kyle Pitts already did that kind of, but yeah,
it's not the same as it, because he just dug in, right? So I think it would be extremely funny,
man.
And it works.
Yeah.
And watch it work. That really
Sunday, 9 p.m. 2-year deal with the Vikings. God, that's so funny, dude.
That's good.
Spiteful Kirk? There's potential here.
Yeah, that's my pitch.
The Kirk, that would be the ultimate Kirk negotiation, though, would be to plant that he's talking to Kyle Pitts about the number and leverage that into a 2-year guaranteed deal with the Vikings. Now,
what if Pitts is in on the psyop and he's going the other way just to sell the bit the other?
Yeah, Pitts is trying to save his team from tampering accusations, I think, is what's happening there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Players can tamper with players, though. That's if Kirk talks to Pitts about, and everyone's like, hey, I've been talking to Kyle Pitts about whether or not he'd want that number. Should I come to the fact? That feels like legal.
Right.
It's like the scene in Wolf of Wall Street. If there was no dollar figure exchange, there is no. I would not hold up in a court of law.
Can you say that again? Just the way you said it. Just
slowly
like
into.
All right. Other letters to Kirk. Anybody?
Can mine be none? Do what you got to do, buddy. This is the offer has been extended. That the Vikings are comfortable with. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. We're at peace.
It's pretty pragmatic.
I feel like us three are going to be pretty vanilla, and Sam's going to have this great, just detailed rundown pitch. So do you just want to go now?
No, I think that means Luke,
No.
you got to go so that Sam.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
gonna be
Yeah, I don't
finale.
really have a bit. I mean,
we're all getting on base. Sam's ready for the grand slam.
okay, there you go. I'm greedy. Okay, I want it all. I want to draft a quarterback. I also want to run it back with Kirk for one more year. So I guess, the first pitch would be, Kirk, hey, you're 36. You're coming off a torn Achilles. You've made more money than Floyd Mayweather by now. Dude, let's run it back. One more time. Come on. You owe me, man. Be real. Be cool. Let's finish what we started, and we'll pick off right where we left off after the San Fran game, the Green Bay game, when you were playing the best ball of your career. And Kirk, let's be real, man. You and I both know you'll never have a chance to play with better weapons than J.J. Hawkinson, Addison, 2 Pro Bowl tackles, and one of the best offensive head coaching minds that already knows everything about you, what you do best, how you want to do it. Think about your family too, Kirk. You don't want to uproot them and start all over in
Manipulative.
Atlanta. And then we'll have a bunch of analytics up on the screen. We'll have a little PowerPoint, why Minnesota schools are better than the Atlanta schools. I say
that one is true, actually.
What is it about guarantees? You want guarantees? Bam. 1 year, 41 million guaranteed. We pay, you play. We cue the Super Bowl music. We'll have like a mock-up. We'll get him up there. We'll have him practice the Super Bowl MVP speech. Or, we could have like an AI-generated video of him winning the Super Bowl up on the podium. Haven't really decided that yet. Still kind of workshopping some things. But either way,
yeah, we got to get one somehow.
Confetti starts falling from the vents. And I think by that point, like, that's just an experience you probably couldn't say no to. But yeah, I want both. I want him back. I want him to finish what we started, and I also want to draft a quarterback really bad.
Luke wants it all.
Your pitch started with, "Hey man, you're 36. What have you got going for you?" It's like, oh man, oh bud,
how you doing, dude? Doing all right? Doing okay? Welfare check. Doing all right?
You're so old. Please come back.
Hey, Sam, what do you got? Take us home.
I mean, I don't have anything personally, but I did intercept this message from Kwesi. It just came through to my email, and I corralled it.
Yeah.
No, this makes sense. Yeah.
An actual email, yeah. It does get confusing. I think he wanted to run it by like Sam Newton and John Ekstrom, but he sent it to Sam Ekstrom. This happens a lot. My names are shared by the Vikings PR staff. So,
and he doesn't mind when you share this stuff, on air.
Right.
That's
just
because it's his fault. It's like you got to eat that now.
Right.
Yeah. So
this is how I'm going to learn from my mistakes. Yep.
Yeah. Nope. I captured this email. Good morning, Kirk. It's Kwesi. Glad to see on Instagram you've made yet another trip to visit your kids in school. You're quite the family man. Let me be clear. These past weeks and months of negotiations have been respectful, but taxing. You clearly don't want to return, but your upper Midwesternness prevents you from being honest with us. And we haven't been direct with you either out of respect for your 6 years here. So let me take the onus off you, be direct as I can. Think of me, Kwesi, as Kate Winslet from Titanic. And think of yourself as Leonardo DiCaprio. Right now, I'm floating on a door. The Titanic is sinking behind me. There's plenty of room on this door for you, but I'd prefer not to share it. Sure, we had some great memories.
Jesus Christ.
Come on. The whole grills thing was kind of creepy, kind of like Leo's painting. So we are going to float on our spacious little door and wait for someone to come save us. Be smarter than Leo. Go find another door to float on instead of willfully drowning. Sincerely, your favorite movie buff, Kwesi.
Go find another door. That's extremely dismissive. I really like that, Sam.
Again, just the messenger. These aren't my words. These aren't my words.
I directed that at you just because I wanted your feedback.
I'm chuckling at his candidness, right? Because this is the GM that professes not to say a lot, and we caught the smoking gun just came through to my email this morning. So
no, I'm glad you got that.
With Kirk's agent, not with Kirk, but you send the emails you send, right?
Right. And I didn't know where he was going with that when he said that he was Rose and Kirk was Jack. I wasn't sure where he was going to go, but it made sense once he tied it all together with the door and the ship sinking.
I'm curious about Kwesi's movie buffness because, like, canonically, the painting wasn't creepy. Like, in movie, it was not creepy. In universe, everyone kind of appreciated it.
In the 90s when it won Best Picture, people appreciated it. I don't think it would play as well today. I think it's gotten more retroactively creepy.
I'd say that about a lot of stuff that happened 100 years ago.
Because that painting definitely actually happened.
Actual
right on the Titanic.
It took place. In universe, it happened 100 years ago.
Well,
that
wasn't the real Titanic, though. You guys know that, right?
No, Luke, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
they brought it up, and that's why they couldn't find it again.
Okay. I find it interesting that Kwesi likens his team situation though to a sinking ship.
No. The team situation is the door. Team's fine.
Team is floating along.
We're floating.
What is the sinking ship?
Kind of just society, right?
Oh, okay. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. The nation at large.
Just in general.
Right.
The NFL, officiating, gambling, it's all been thrown asunder.
Society.
Vikings are floating along. They've got a long life ahead.
Who's the one guy that they always show when the boat's sinking and gets all the way up that they show falling and hitting every railing all the way down? Who's that guy?
That's the Bills.
I was going to say Biden. But yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, Biden. Yeah. I was going to say Madison, but your guys' makes way more sense.
Wow. What an image. What a lovely image. All right. That's a good segue into...
Analytics fans rejoice.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Kirk Cousins edition. Yeah.
Such a good graphic.
It remains to this day extremely entertaining.
Undefeated.
Worth watching on YouTube just for that.
Yeah, it really is. Kirk Cousins edition of Nerdy Stat of the Day. I'll start. Vikings 11-29 as underdogs in Cousins seasons. 29th.
That's got to be pretty good.
29th winning percentage in the league, in front of only Cincinnati, New England, oddly, and Detroit.
That's 29th in the league.
11-29 as underdogs feels like it should be actually pretty difficult
Decent.
to do.
Yeah, you're an underdog.
That's not against the. Well, I mean, I just did any underdog status.
Sure.
That's straight up winning percentage, not against the spread.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Here's kind of the opposite of that. So first of all, before I get into the statistic, who do you think is like the best comeback quarterback in the NFL right now?
Right now. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, this is up there. Sure.
Like what time frame are we talking about?
Just like active right now in the NFL, who's the best comeback quarterback?
Like who has the most in their career, or like what's the?
I just like you give a feeling. Like if you were to trust a guy,
whatever. Just
give you a fourth quarter comeback.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Guess who's tied with Patrick Mahomes in fourth quarter comebacks since 2018? It's Kirk. It's our buddy Cousins. He's tied for third in the NFL since 2018.
How many of those were specifically 2022?
A lot.
The reason I looked it up is because of 2022. I figured it'd be funny. but yeah, Kirk Cousins is tied with Patrick Mahomes and is ahead of Josh Allen and Tom Brady, who, mind you, didn't play in 2023, so maybe not a fair comparison. In fourth quarter comebacks, he is behind Russell Wilson, so good call, Luke, and Derek Carr.
Whoa.
Okay.
I would not have put in that category, but yeah.
Wow.
So he's your comeback king, Kirk.
It's funny. You don't see Derek Carr in like any statistical categories ever at the top. So, okay. All right. Go Kirk. All right. Kirk Cousins and Tim Tebow have the same amount of playoff wins.
Oh, savage.
Wow. That's rough.
Yeah. That's not good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Both equally devoted to God.
True. Not wrong. Not wrong. No, you're right.
I think I'd give Tebow the edge, but I don't know. It's
he's just more visible about it.
So going by my favorite quarterback stat, which is a composite of EPA and completion percentage over expectation.
Dakota.
Kirk Cousins, 6 years here. How many years was he a top 10 quarterback by this metric?
In these
5.
6 years?
Over the 6 years.
I'm going to say 5, but not the DiFilippo year. Or actually,
Completion
5,
percentage
but not
over
2022.
expectation?
Not 2022.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3.
6.
It's all 6.
Luke, you nailed it. It's 3 of them. Not the DiFilippo year, not 2021, not 2022, but he was a top 10 quarterback in 2019, 2020, and then he was 6th in that stat when he went down in 2023. 1-1 in making the playoffs in years where Kirk Cousins played as a top 10 quarterback.
So Arif had the stat about Patrick Mahomes being good at comebacks. You know what else Patrick Mahomes is good at? Not needing to come back and winning by a lot of points.
That's not important.
Let's talk about it nonetheless. So in Kirk Cousins' time with the Vikings, he won by 2 scores or more. 19 times. Now, 13 of those were in the first 2 seasons when he had the best rosters. 6 of them in the last 4 years. Over those 6 years, Patrick Mahomes, which is the duration of his starting career, 39 times did he win by multiple scores, which is more than double Kirk Cousins. And it's not as if the two are ever they're not in the same stratosphere. And this is just further evidence to that fact that it's always been close. It's always close with Kirk Cousins. You live on the razor's edge. And if you have a good roster, like they did in 2018, 2019, maybe you have a chance to win more comfortably, not with what they've had the last 4 years.
Man, I still wish we had a full season of him this year. This is like
okay.
He was playing good, as good as he played in 2019, which is the only time the Vikings won a playoff game with him.
No, that's true. 12 quarterbacks were drafted in the 2012 class. Of those 12, only 4 remain active. Anyone want to guess which 4?
Russell Wilson, I guess, is technically active.
Yep.
Sorry, 4 in the
league. Yeah, still in the league. Yeah,
draft
maybe.
class.
Yeah, so obviously both Luck and Griffin are gone, which is crazy.
Yep.
Trying to remember who was because Tannehill wasn't in that class, was he?
Tannehill was in that class.
Yes. He was in that class?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Tannehill was in that class. First rounder. Yeah.
Cool. So we've named 2 out of the 4 that are still active.
Well, Kirk is 1.
Obviously, Kirk. So that's 3.
Right. Oh, right, 3.
The last one.
Is it some 6th rounder who's been bouncing?
Yeah,
around?
it's like it's
not only is that part accurate, but it's a guy, as Vikings fans, we know very well.
Sean Mannion? He wasn't a 6th rounder. He's like a 2nd rounder.
Not Sean Mannion.
Sean Hill?
Not Sean Hill.
Keenum?
Case.
Oh, Keenum.
Oh, nice.
So of the 12 quarterbacks from that class, dude, Tannehill, Kirk, Russ, and Keenum. And it's just funny to think, 12 years later, we're sitting here talking about
a bunch of guys,
3 of these guys potentially being the quarterback for the Vikings in 2024.
Oh. It'd be like if CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson were both on TV in 10 years. And Bryce Young flamed out of the league, and then we're going, but look, Jake Haener made a career.
right. It's gonna happen, dude. The NFL's so funny, man. It's gonna happen. It is kind of funny too to think about Kirk and Russ and where they're both at in their careers. Drafted in the same class, drafted both mid-round guys. I think they were within 25, 30 picks of each other. Both kind of drafted to be backups. Russ, okay, you got the bigger peak, higher ceiling, but now the stock is pointing way down. Kirk, slower start, but just continued to increase his value and kind of perception year by year.
Having
now 36
3
coming
guys
off
with 60 plus starts is good for any class. That's like an upper echelon class. But
absolutely.
Man, that class could have been absolutely legendary. Holy crap, dude.
Well, let's see who else was in here. Oh, there's 2 other first rounders. You want to guess who they were? Outside of Luck, outside of RG3, 2 other first rounders, plus Tannehill, so 2 more on top of that.
Wasn't Mettenberger one of them?
Oh, I'm sorry, only one of them. Brock Osweiler, I thought was a first rounder. He was late second rounder. I thought he was second rounder. Okay, so only one other guy.
Osweiler.
Cleveland Browns. Pick 22.
It wasn't Johnny.
Oh, Brandon Weeden.
Old guy. Brandon Weeden. Yeah.
Old guy.
20
Is the old one?
years old.
I can't have the old one.
Dude,
You play baseball, but not Russ.
Right. Hey, you think Bo Nix and Michael Penix are old at 24? This dude was 28 years old, man, and was drafted in the first round with the 22nd pick.
Dude, when people were like dunking on the Eagles for drafting Danny Watkins at 20, who's 26 in the first round, I was like, man, that guy's so old. And everyone's like, wait a second. He's still 2 years younger than Brandon Weeden when he was
so crazy, dude. Okay, wait a minute. One more quarterback from this class we haven't even mentioned of these 12. One guy who actually won a Super Bowl just to make this class even better.
Yeah.
Third round. Foles. Oh, yeah. Nick Foles. You got it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
What a class.
We had a couple of Michigan State legends, Nick Foles and Kirk Cousins.
Plan B quarterbacks. If Kirk leaves, who's next? That's next on the Minnesota
Supreme Court allow that?
eBay Motors brings you today's show. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Show schedule looks like this here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We do this show Mondays and Thursdays. Ron Johnson on Tuesdays, Minnesota Basketball Party on Wednesdays, and our roundtable with Care 11 anchors on Friday. We expect Ron Johnson shortly, but while we wait, let's talk about Plan B at quarterback. So Russ is in the mix now. We talked about Russ. Russ is on the market, cut by Denver. Tannehill's on the market. I don't want to name all the names. You guys know the names. If not Kirk, who? That's my question. Luke Braun, start with you.
It's so weird that it feels like the most pragmatic option is Russell Wilson because of the offset stuff with the Broncos, where like it doesn't cost anything. I don't know. Like, what does he still have in the tank? Is he super washed? Like, there's also the question of like, do you want this guy taking the field for you? Which is where my concern primarily lies. But like, shoot, I guess it's a cheap option.
Yeah, I could be talked into Russ, I feel like, for sure. But I'm with you. I kind of worry about like, I don't know. The one hang up, I think, when I think Russell Wilson, it's like, okay, you're going from Kirk Cousins, who every single guy in the locker room loved. They wanted to bring him back. They looked at as the leader, to Russell Wilson and all the baggage on and off the field he brings with him. I just don't see that meshing very well in the locker room from like a player dynamic lens at all. I think about too, like the Wolves were around when, they signed Donovan McNabb, Aaron. I don't think
I was going to say it's like very 2011 McNabb,
feels
and then
like
you draft a quarterback, and then he does worm burners for 5 weeks, and you're like, oh my God, just put the rookie in even if he's not ready.
Right.
Like we still talk about how bad that was to watch.
I know. It was terrible.
And that Christian L. Ponder, whatever his middle name was, worked his way. Like that was the option they turned to, away from Donovan McNabb.
Who was the third guy?
And it was the correct option.
And they were right. Like that's
Joe Webb. Joe Webb was
Joe Webb was still
the other guy. Yeah,
they should have got
Joe Webb was a lot of fun.
Don't start that debate now.
But I mean, hey, Luke's right though. You can't beat the price. Are you kidding me? Just to get on whatever the vet minimum.
What's his minimum even? It's like 2 something or 3 something,
whatever.
For veterans, the minimum is like surprise. Like you think like 10+ year veterans, the minimum will be really high. It's not. It's like 1.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But I if I was a betting man, I don't see that. I don't see them pulling the trigger on that. I don't see them going down that.
I think they want somebody who has the ability to kind of run the offense. Like I think regardless, it's really funny, Luke, that you're like, my concern is his play on the field. And it's like that should be the guiding factor for signing a player.
Well, for sure.
More off the field than anything.
But like, I mean, the fact that he doesn't like throw over the middle, that he's like fairly play action dependent, that he really likes these like only likes deep routes. And obviously that sounds great until you see this NFL offense try to operate. I think that you just want a guy who can run the offense. Like you're investing in players like Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and all that. And it feels like okay, if you're not going to take advantage of the stuff that they're good at, like what's the point? So I'd prefer even somebody like a Jacoby Brissett. Even I like the guy.
Yeah,
I like
him.
That would be, of all the names, like, okay, you're looking at like Baker Mayfield gets tossed out there. All right, he's going to cost what, 28, 30, 32 at that point. Just go pay Kirk. Like if you're getting that pot committed, just go get your guys. So if it's going to be somebody, it's going to be somebody fairly cheap. So who are the realistic options that are cheap? Okay, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson. People love to fling.
I like Sam Darnold too, which is like a crazy thing to end up saying.
Yeah,
because
Tannehill kind of grew
out of all.
He did
100%. Like I didn't like him as a draft pick. I felt vindicated that he didn't turn out. And then in Carolina, his like final 6 games there were really good.
Yeah.
San Francisco spot duty, pretty good. I think he's a fine bridge starter, right?
Darnold or Drew Lock, which of the two?
Darnold.
But
I'm with I think Brissett is at the top of my list. Honestly, out of all those names, you just put them all on.
Yeah, I love Brissett.
He's the
Rod Taylor.
He's that perfect like bridge gap guy. I feel like, yeah, and he's not dynamic or explosive, but. God, somebody had a stat. Hold on.
I got to run your offense.
We got Ron Johnson joining too. You look that up, Luke.
I got it. Sorry, real quick. Alec Lewis of The Athletic. Among the 46 quarterbacks who have thrown 800 passes since 2017, Jacoby Brissett's interception rate per pass attempt is lower than everyone but Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. So, yeah, he's not your Nick Mullins YOLO ball guy. He's probably the polar opposite, honestly. But he doesn't turn the ball over. He's going to give you a chance to win some games and be competitive.
Ron Johnson joins us now. He hosts the Ron Johnson Show on Tuesdays. He's on Twitter /X at 3RonJohnson. Ron, this is the final weekend. This is the final weekend for Kirk Cousins to mull over his options, for the Vikings to make their final offer. So, Ron, I'm giving you a chance. Make your final plea, either to Kirk Cousins or the Vikings, to get this thing done. Do you have a final argument for Kirk Cousins to be back?
I don't, honestly. I think it could go either way. Like, if you think about what Kirk Cousins' health situation is right now, when will he be back? Will he be back for OTAs? Will he not be back to training camp? Is he not going to be ready till week 1 or week 5? Like, there's a lot that goes into this because Achilles. The good thing is he plays quarterback, so it's not a ton of cutting like a receiver or running back, but it could take him a year. And so I think that goes into the first part of the thought process for the Minnesota Vikings. As far as Kirk Cousins goes, the cost to move, and not the cost is like money, because we know he's rich, so it doesn't matter. But the cost of like family, uprooting, changing again. We've heard all the his wife's from Atlanta. Yeah, I'm from Detroit, but I'm not looking to go back. Like, there's a lot of people from places they don't want to go back to. Like, they've created a life and a family in the city they're in. And so people keep using that as like a carrot. Like I talked to Kurt and Sam, you know this, when he sent me that text message. He wants to live in Orlando anyway. So there's no team down there besides Tampa. So unless the Tampa Bay Bucks are looking forward to trying to get Kirk Cousins, I think that's the only other place he really wants to be long-term is Orlando. Like, he bought a house down there. He wants to retire, live down there. So as far as other teams go, these are just stopgaps. I think he likes Minnesota. He likes what he has here. Between the two sides, there's nothing really I can say at this point. Like, as a player, you think about Justin Jefferson and what does he want? And I think that's what it comes down to. Justin Jefferson, if they can talk Justin Jefferson into a rookie or a veteran guy coming in, I think that's what they want. But if Justin Jefferson's like, look, man, I'll take 35 for 4 years if you guys can get me Kirk, then I think that's where they're going. Like, they're going to go wherever Justin kind of wants them to go within reason. Like, they can't just give him everything he wants, because that might backfire as well. But I think this comes down to Justin Jefferson more so than it does to Kirk or the team. Like, it's all about what JJ wants at this point. And then if they can't make him happy, then they're really screwed, because then they're going to be without both.
Yeah, I tend to think, Ron, that if Kirk moves on, you still have every opportunity to make this an exciting offseason with a lot of optimism in the fan base. If you if you extend Justin Jefferson, maybe you also get back to Danielle Hunter, get a quarterback in the draft and exciting pieces around them, and spend some in free agency and add some more to that defense, you could still have a very fun and promising team even without Kirk Cousins. That's at least how I view it. Do you think that's possible to salvage the offseason without Kirk?
Yeah, I think so. I think signing Justin Jefferson, I mean, it's going to be one of those sour grapes type feelings. Like, people are going to be super excited about Justin. They're going to be super excited about Danielle, but they're also going to wonder, like, okay, here we go with this quarterback situation. But again, it's lightning in a bottle. There's a lot of teams that have drafted first round pick quarterbacks and it didn't work out. So that's the other problem. But then there's guys that have drafted Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts in later rounds. What's his name? Russell Wilson was a later round guy. So it's about the staff too. It's about the staff, the offensive game plan, and what they have. And I think Kevin O'Connell, and I'm not sure, but I think he seems to be a QB whisperer, and he can unlock some stuff in Kirk Cousins. You look at, I'm going to take it to softball. Oklahoma softball, everybody put it on pitch driven. Oh, they have Jordy Ball. They have this. Well, then she transferred to Nebraska, and they're still the number one team in the country. Now they did lose their first game in 71 freaking games.
Yeah.
Which is nuts, but that's a coach. She's built something there. She's created just a confidence within that team. And I think that's what Kevin O'Connell brings. Like he's creating a different, like Zimmer brought a bully, like mentality, not just him, but like the team, like the defense felt real like, okay, we're bullish. We're going to come out here. We're going to beat you down. Our offense might not be that great. Just don't make too many mistakes. Then they get Kirk. And then there was a power struggle of like, well, we could be led by Kirk, but it's my team and my defense. And so I think that's why Kevin O'Connell came in and kind of changed the mindset of Minnesotans, of the Vikings, everybody. This is an offensive-led team. Defense, just hold them. Just do a little bit. Offense, don't fumble the ball 75 times. Like that's where I think this team is. And so if you think about a guy like Brock Purdy, is Keaton Slovis that guy? You don't know. Like that's what they have to figure out is, who is that guy? If it's not J.J. McCarthy, if they can't get Drake May, who is that guy that they think could sit behind a potential veteran that they have to bring in for a year or two, and then this rookie can take over? I mean, I heard, like, of course, everybody's going to throw all kinds of – Trey Lance's name got thrown out there. Not sure about that one, but I think at the end of the day, finding a quarterback is lucky. Yeah, he could be QB3. Jaron Hall might be out the door, though, but yeah.
Yeah. Competition's good, I guess.
Okay, Ron, put yourself back in the Baltimore days back in 2002, 2003. Let's just pretend Ozzie Newsome signs a big offensive playmaker to play opposite of you. Let's say it's Marvin Harrison or something. How much was it going to take to sell that number 83 if that guy wanted that jersey? Because if Kirk goes to Atlanta, Kyle Pitts sounds like he might be getting the bag. Everyone's got their price. What's Ron Johnson's price for that number 83 jersey?
Honestly, like nothing. Like, I mean, if it's a guy that really wants it and I don't really have anything bought into the number, like Kyle Pitts is different. Like I wasn't caught up in numbers. Like when I went to the Bears, I was number 11. We signed Jeff Blake. He wore number 11 and he was a veteran. I mean, it was like his 15th year. I'm like, bro, you can have 11, man. What's left? And they're like, hey, 81. I was like, all right, give me the 81. Like I wasn't
like 5K to a charity or something.
I wasn't really caught up in that. I'm like, like whatever, if you want it, you can have it. Like I move on. For me, I think when I came into the Ravens, I wore 3 in college. So Brian Billick was just like, hey, do you want 83? I'm like, sure, let's do it. That's kind of how it happened right after draft day, because I had to get my jersey, quote unquote, to go to the hey, rookie, you're in the NFL deal down in California. So they was like, we need to get you a jersey. So what number are you going to wear? And so, the team reached out to me and they're like, 83 is going to be open, because I think the guy that wore it was getting cut anyway. So I was like, all right, I'll take it.
What a way to find out, to see your jersey at the rookie thing.
Like, that's no longer your number. But yeah, no, I don't think, like, if I'm Kyle Pitts, honestly, this is the one thing you don't want. You don't want the guy throwing you the ball coming in feeling weird about you and not wanting to give up the number and playing this like game of chicken of, well, how much is the number worth? Or how much? Like, dude, you're the QB. Hey, you come in, you could have 8. I'll go get whatever. I'll get number 1 or number 4 or something. Like, because what did Kyle Pitts wear in college? Did he wear 8 in college?
I don't think so.
That's a good question. At Florida,
I don't think he did.
I can't remember.
I thought he wore 84. Could be wrong.
So that's what I'm saying. 84. Like, yeah. See, so he could go 4, or he could go. I mean, is 80? Oh no, Cordero Patterson has 84. So then that's a whole nother conversation of like, hey,
he's free agent, is he?
You want to give up 84? Oh, you know what? He is. But I mean, I think he wants to go back to Atlanta. Is my guess. Unless the Minnesota Vikings need a Swiss Army knife on offense and defense. Now they have him, and then they have Josh Metellus.
Let's go.
Bring him back.
But when you look at
new kickoff pools could potentially lead to more kick returns, man.
Kick returner, like, hey, Ty Chandler is going to have more work to do. Kene Nwangwu might not be here. Who knows? Cordell Patterson with Ty Chandler and whoever else they can draft. Blake Corum, by the way, or my guy to Wisconsin and Braylon Allen. But Yeah, numbers, man. Like, I'm not big on that. So if I'm Kyle Pitts, I don't want the quarterback. And that's why I say, like, Jeff Blake was coming in as a quarterback. So I'm like, I need this guy to throw me the ball. Look, you can have this number, man. And remember that. Remember that we're in the red zone. Look at your boy. So yeah, if I'm Kyle Pitts, I'm not making my relationship right out the gate with my quarterback weird over a number.
No,
like,
that's fair. That makes a lot of sense. All right, that was an easy softball one. Here's my real question. I know everyone talks about the defense when it comes to, the Vikings draft plans. Obviously, that's plan A for sure. But if and when they do go offense in the draft, outside of the obvious, okay, when you're taking a quarterback, which position should they target first, do you think? Because for me, I think if offense leaves, excuse me, Osborne
first round running back,
wide receiver,
not
running
first
back,
round.
interior offensive line, tight end, if Hawkins
running back
maybe starts on the punt. Running
back. Who's the running back?
Okay.
Who do you like?
I wouldn't go first round though. So like, there's the thing. If you can't get your quarterback, if there's not an offensive lineman worth it at 11, because again, I mean, I don't know where they're at.
There will be. I promise you there's going to be an offensive lineman worth it at 11.
But I'm just saying, like, where they are with their guys, like their tackles, are they good there? Guards, do you need a guard? Is there a guard in that top, 15 that's worth it? Do you think you move on from center? Do you draft a center and move Bradbury to guard? I mean, there's a lot you can do. So when you think about that, I'm not going running back in the first round. I'm going to package that. I'm just going to say, hey, look, let's stockpile some picks because the quarterback we want, we know where he's going to fall. Maybe he's a second round guy they've already been looking at. We don't know. And the running backs are all going to be second, third round guys. Like I said, Bucky Irvin out of Oregon. He's a guy that reminds me of a bigger Jet McKinnon. Shifty, fast, but he's 5'10", 200 pounds. So he's a kid that can come into this offense and be kind of like what's his name, Pacheco, for the Chiefs, a quick hitter that can catch the ball at the backfield. So that's a guy they can get in second, third round. And I'm thinking running back, just because if you get rid of Alexander Madison, you don't think Ty Chandler is going to be the guy. You got to go get a guy. Like I don't feel like going to get a veteran guy that's already been out there is worth it. When you look at running backs and just how their careers have gone, like it's always down. It goes down. It never goes up. You never see a guy in his 10th year have a better year than he had in his second or third year. Like it's tough at running back. And that's why so many retire before they're 30. So I would go draft a running back in there, and then I'm going to stockpile some picks if I can, if I'm not using that. And the next one is corner. So corner and running back for me are the two, because corner, you got to be able to stop people. And I don't know if the corners they have are true man-to-man corners. I think they were good zone corners and good like drop read corners where they could sit back and but when they had to just dissect and play man and then figure it out from there, they weren't like Xavier Rose was really good at that, because for what all Zimmer wanted to say was maybe Xavier Rose wasn't always thinking, but that was better. You don't have to think in man. You just chase. And that's what Xavier Rose was good at. That's what your guy Jalen Ramsey is good at. That's what you got to find a guy that he can turn that brain off and say, let me just go shut this guy down. And with Brian Flores' blitz package, I think that's what you need. You need a true cover corner.
Yeah. A lot of good running backs in like the fourth round that I think.
I actually really like this running back class for the value on day 3 for sure.
Yeah. So when we were talking about like, potential bridge veteran quarterbacks and with the understanding that they would grab quarterback in the draft, who do you like among this group as a potential kind of short-term starter that could maybe mentor somebody if they were comfortable with that? There's a lot of free agent quarterbacks right now. I mean, we've got Russ, obviously, but there's like Ryan Tannehill, there's Jacoby Brissett, there's Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold, Marcus Mariota, Trubisky. There's a lot of guys that you could very reasonably make the argument like, hey, this is a guy that could, hold the ship for about, a year or two before this rookie gets ready.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Uncle Rico. I think that his ability to throw a ball over a mountain, like that's just unheard of. And we know that he could be a very integral part in a rookie's life. I mean, look what he did with his nephew. He gave Napoleon Dynamite all the confidence in the world to just run for president. So, no, like,
you think the Colts let him walk?
I mean, Tom Brady just ran the same 40 time he ran or faster than he ran at the combine. So I wouldn't be mad at looking at Tom Brady either. That could be a sneaky one to bring in, if not just for marketing value, and selling tickets and selling dreams to Justin Jefferson. Like bring Tom Brady in to deal with a young rookie. And Kevin O'Connell and Tom Brady do have a little relationship. So That's one I would like to see. I don't know if we need to throw that steam out there. Gisele Bundchen, we would make sure she was taken care of, Tom, if you came here. She would not bother you. But if you look at, and there's 5 Victoria's Secrets in the Mall America, I'm pretty sure your family would love that. Pays the family. But no, when you look at these quarterbacks, honestly, I don't know. It's tough. It's so tough. Like I heard the Jacoby Brissett name thrown out there. I did like him when you look at what he did the last couple of years. It reminded me a little bit of Geno Smith without the help. Like Geno Smith had a lot of help when you think about DK Metcalf and that offense. And honestly, Pete Carroll, man, like the fact that Russell Wilson is trash right now and Pete Carroll was able to win Super Bowls with this guy. Like now you see what he's doing with Geno Smith. Maybe it's Pete Carroll. Like we put a lot on Russ, but maybe Pete Carroll was the guy in that.
Well, the Seahawks don't seem to agree, actually.
They don't?
Well, they fired Pete Carroll.
No, I know, but he's 79. Like,
well, yeah, it was Pete Carroll.
I mean, he reminds me of Liam Neeson. Like,
sure.
Liam Neeson should not be tracking people down at this point in his life. Like, that's what I felt like Pete Carroll's at. Like Liam Neeson, like there's no way you believe he's running fast enough to catch a 20-year-old robber. Like,
but maybe Tom Brady is.
Maybe Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Tom Brady could catch a mugger at his age. But Liam Neeson probably runs like a 10 in the 40. Like, no, come on. That's what Pete Carroll was at. I think Pete Carroll, age-wise, I think the Seahawks saw the youth movement of what this team was becoming. Pete Carroll still was trying to do some of the cool stuff, but he's way past those USC days and the Snoop Dogg and all the stuff he used to do. Like, he's just older. And you could tell, like, just the way the offense, there was no innovation. There was no usage, because guys were making comments about that. There was no, like, special stuff with the team. It just kind of felt stale, like, when's the Legion of Boom coming back? And so I think that's what they moved on from Pete Carroll. But him, as far as being able to control Russell Wilson, have that ability, I like what he did with Geno Smith. I think a guy like Jacoby Brissett could benefit from Kevin O'Connell. He can move well. He has size. He has a strong arm. He's smart with the ball. And then you have Justin Jefferson, and I think he's a guy that could fit in that locker room. Like, you put Jacoby Brissett in that locker room, I think him and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson hit it off right away. Like, I don't think there would be any issues with that. The problem is, I don't care who you bring in, you got to convince Justin Jefferson, and that's what it comes down to. Like, you can't tell him this is filet mignon and you picked it up from your local, like, corner store or something. Like, you just have to be able to tell them, like, hey, I went to Von Hansen's and this is the best cut of meat I ever found. Like, this is Roof Chris, or you have to be able to tell Justin Jefferson he's getting the pick of the litter when you say what you're going to do with his future, because this is this man's future. Like, he's a Hall of Famer, most likely, the way he's going. And so now it's about, can he get a guy that's not going to throw the ball in the middle of the field and get his ribs taken apart?
Ron, this morning, Ezra Cleveland signs a $28.5 million deal over 3 years, about half of it guaranteed. It's like 9.5 a year. Would you give the same deal to Dalton Risner?
Yes, I would. So the thing about Dalton Risner, one, he didn't see, like, to come in that quick, figure out the offense, and then you don't hear a lot of MAs. You didn't hear a lot of, oh man, he blew that call or he missed that block. You saw a lot of energy. You saw a lot of power to him. He's not a great guy in space, but I think with this offense, he didn't need to be. Like, we thought this was going to be like a screen game. Like, we were thinking like Dalvin Cook, old school Stefanski, and that's not what Kevin O'Connell is. Like, I think we need to let that dream die of like, oh, we need to run screens and all this other. Like, Kevin O'Connell is trying to stretch the field and really be a true West Coast offense. And so, I could see Dalton Risner fitting because his skill set fits them. Now, again, the money that's what it comes down to, because I know the league minimum for rookies is going up. I know the veteran minimum is going up to like $915,000 now for everybody over 1 year. So there's going to be an increase in dollars, and then the salary cap goes up. So with all that, I think that's where the numbers come. But yeah, no, I would definitely offer him that.
Ron Johnson's the host of the Friday Roundtable with Julia Daniels, Reggie Wilson from KARE 11, myself, and tomorrow we'll be talking plenty more Vikings. Also, Karl-Anthony Towns' meniscus. Not great. That'll be tomorrow on the Roundtable. Also, hear Ron's show on Tuesdays, the Ron Johnson Show, with great takes and great interviews. Ron, awesome as usual. And the next time we talk on this show, Vikings might have a new quarterback. So can't wait to get you back on here.
I hope not. I hope they don't have a new one. I feel like Liam Neeson should call Kevin O'Connell if Kirk Cousins leaves.
What if it's your guy, JJ McCarthy, though?
Like, I will find you.
Yeah, that opens the door, Ron, for the next generation.
But that's if they can, But see, I don't want them to show their hand because now then people know and then they're going to play that game.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty transparent.
So that's the tough. And then now they have to kind of give people an inkling of who they might want and see what teams they can trust with the info and what teams won't screw them over and what teams won't bears them versus 49ers, how they played that game. So there's a lot to it, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see next week what they decide. I hope Kirk Cousins stays. I think that would be the best outcome. Justin Jefferson has said it. The team has said it, but all this whole Kevin O'Connell's tone and his inflection changed. Maybe he just was like changing his tone. Like, stop reading into it all.
Yeah. Maybe needed a coffee.
Needed a 5-hour energy or something. Come on.
We will probably find out on Monday. We'll talk to you next week, Ron, and then the roundtable tomorrow. See you then.
Appreciate
it. We've got one free agent, not quarterback related, that the Vikings will pick up on Monday after this on the Minnesota Football Party. Brought to you today by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood is the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from another retirement account with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA, available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. All right, closing minutes on the Minnesota Football Party. I want a name. Give me a name that the Vikings will acquire on Monday in free agency. Let's start with Inman.
Well, the first free agent we're talking about better be Danielle Hunter. They got to figure out that first and foremost, especially when you think about the $15 million in dead money they got to pay him, whether he plays or not. So Danielle Hunter first, and then after Danielle, and I'm usually a build through the draft, don't go wild in free agency. But when you think about this team's needs, how desperate they are for any defensive talent, and then you think about, okay, how do you want to build your team? You want to build it from the inside out. You want to win in the trenches first and foremost. And then you think about the background this guy has with Brian Flores, who drafted him 5 years ago. I'm planting my flag on Christian Wilkins. And I'm going to add not just a good defensive tackle. I'm getting one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And I think he's a guy that's obviously just going to make everyone around him better. You're going to add 10 more sacks, 30-plus quarterback pressures a season. I think it's been long enough since they've had a dominant presence on the inside. And I think Kwesi, too, he's always going to have that very analytical approach. And he knows the teams that make it the furthest every year, they all have a dominant defensive line that can generate that quarterback pressure. Chris Jones in the Super Bowl making that, game-ending play to win it. There's no bigger detriment to a quarterback than this interior pressure, and Christian Wilkins can give you that.
You have expensive taste.
I do. But you know what? Hey, on that point, you're right. What is he going to cost? 28 mil? You spent 2 years. You spent all this time clearing all this cap space. Go use some of it. Go make a splash. Go get a game changer who's still young, in his prime, also fits, again, the narrative Kwesi lives by. I'm not just building for this year. I'm building for 2, 3, 4 years out as well. Danielle Hunter, Christian Wilkins, Andre Carter, Luke Inman.
Let's go.
Championship. Championship, baby.
Go.
Hang the banner. Just hang the banner right now.
I think from a value hound perspective, which is how the Vikings have approached free agency a lot. Obviously, they've signed, like guys that are meant to be the top, like Byron Murphy of their particular free agent class. But they love going after undervalued guys if it's because of injury or whatever. So probably Chase Young. But the guy that I think is like a true potential, like real value at a position of need is probably Bryce Huff.
Oh, that's my guy.
Yeah,
I love it.
One.
I love
Sam, you mentioned this guy like a couple weeks ago, maybe, I think. So I am proactively stealing this from you before you have the ability to use him again.
That's okay.
But yeah, I think that his rate statistics are really good. I think that his athletic profile is great. I think he's 25 going on 26, so that would be a pretty good, from an age perspective, a pretty good signing. He doesn't have a lot of wear and tear, and he's been really effective in a variety of roles for the Jets. So I think he's a good player.
I've got one a little bit further down the list, but in the same vein of trying to find somebody that's like weirdly a value that also Kwesi would have been involved in scouting during I think he was in the 2020 draft class back in San Francisco, Javon Kinlaw, who is slated to be a free agent.
Actually had a pretty decent year this year after disappointing for so long.
Which it kind of feels like maybe you're buying on the upswing, right? Feels like something that a stock trader type of brain would go handle, but also wouldn't be the premier, bloated contract that somebody like a Christian Wilkins would be. And maybe there's a connection there. Kwesi left San Francisco right after that 2020 draft to go to Cleveland. So he would have been involved there, and maybe he still has a high opinion.
I like that. I also love Bryce Huff, or we riot. Monday, potentially going live as tampering opens here in the Minnesota Football Party. Stay tuned for that announcement. That could be a lot of fun. Could be controversial as we get the initial reports, because that there's going to be a flood of deals at 11:01, 11:02, 11:03.
Really quick negotiations. That's what's happening.
Yep.
Right.
They're really fast about it.
I mean, there really was no negotiation. They said, here's the number. And the player said, okay. And they got it done.
Yeah.
As these negotiations go. Yeah.
All fired up. Yeah. Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Arif Hassan, I'm Sam Ekstrom. Big thanks to Ron Johnson for joining as well on the Minnesota Football Party. Please subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota. Roundtable tomorrow. See you then.